This is my audience for my speech.
One philosopher changed humanity and the way everyone a part of it viewed the world. Socrates is one of the most influential and honestly most important philosophers. He was very, very advanced for his time and the way he thought about everything. As someone who looks deep into different philosophers and different philosophical ideas, Socrates is someone who never fails to come up. He always comes up, especially in Western society. Today we're going to cover Socrates and his life, his philosophical ideas, and his impact today. In an article titled Socrates on Britannica.com by Richard Kraut, they say he was born in 470 BCE in ancient Greece. He was born into a lower middle class family, which is a very important thing because a lot of his influencers and people that he looked up to when he was younger were all rich and towards the top of the social hierarchy. He didn't think he was going to be good enough because he was lower middle class, and he thought everybody who was good at it had to be higher. He also, when he middle of his life, he was not taken very seriously. He was often mocked. In one of the most famous plays from ancient Greece, which happens to be a comedy, he was the main victim. He was the guy who was getting mocked and made fun of because he went out against what ancient Greece was all about and beauty, and he was all about mental strength basically. An article, The Big Three of Greek Philosophy, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle by Stephen Michael Perdue in 2014, basically says that there were three main philosophers during the ancient Greece era, those three being Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. And the way that those three played a role was that they all had different views on different ideas, and they all had different views, basically. And although he wasn't very liked amongst his community, a lot of people would highly commend him for his ability to conversate and persuade people, and his self-mastery at his craft and wanting to get better at what he does. While not liked, he had very important ideas. He believed that philosophy should be used to help practicalities and betterment of society. He envisioned society based on logic and reason, and not necessarily on theological reason, which is through God and religious reasons. He believed it more to be on what is practical and what would help us in this certain moment. In an article titled Socrates by Bibliography.com, he says that basically he would rather have someone who knows themselves better than anybody else knows themselves run a government than having it become a tyranny or a democratic republic or a democratic government. This is something that is very important during this time because it completely sticks out against what everybody else goes with. He also had a lot of different quotes that played a huge role. One of them being wise, which is one of his most famous quotes probably, is the fact that saying that you know nothing is a true signal of someone being wise. And with all of his philosophies and main ideas, he played a huge role in Western society. He was known to be the founder of Western society. The way he questioned everything and wasn't just giving information, just taking it, he questioned it and wanted to further his knowledge on it more and more and really find out what was happening, is something that's really important in today's society. His Socratic method is very important. It's basically where you continue questioning and you form critical thinking in someone, and you get to higher, more concrete answers than you would in other ways. Freedom of speech is also something that's very big in the United States. It's the First Amendment, and it's basically one of the main things that the country was founded on. And 10 Reasons Why Socrates is Still Relevant Today by Malcolm J. It basically says that Socrates was always known for speaking up. One of the main examples was in Beauty vs. Mind, where after one of the wars, Greece went back to the roots of being more beauty-based and majestical and stuff like that. And he went out against the government, and he basically said that he believed that being mentally stable and knowing more is much more important than being beautiful or being luxurious or different stuff like that. He also always stood up for what he believed in, and later on his death, which is one of the most complicated things, He stood up for what he believed in, and he died because of it. He didn't want to go back on what he said, and he was willing to die for it. In conclusion, with all the impact and key ideas he provided, he also had an interesting upbringing alongside with all of his philosophical ideas. Socrates is world class, and not a lot of people really know about him and the impact that they have on his life. Next time you think about Western society, consider the fact that a lot of it is probably founded by Socrates.